Johnson won that race, and for that he got $27,000. Now that's not bad money for 1960, but let's compare it against today's races. Who won the Daytona 500 this year? Anybody know?
Joey Logano. Joey Logano.
Joey Logano. You're one of the few people that know that.
I was there.
Okay, that's why. You know, if I ask who won it last year, everybody says the same thing. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Everybody knows that. For those races, the Daytona 500, the first race of the year, the winner gets $1.5 million. So the awards have gone up a little bit since the 1960s, but unfortunately so is the cost of racing.
Does the driver get that or the team?
The driver, depending on his contract, gets most of it. He shares part of it with the team, and he shares it with the owner of the car. The sponsor gets none of it. By the way, on the left side, that's our tunnel that we used to use to go into the racetrack. In the 60s, you'd have a flatbed truck, roll right in there, no problems at all. Try and get one of those two-story haulers in there, it won't happen. So we use it for golf carts and pedestrians to walk through. Now, we're real lucky here. We have two major races a year. We have the Coca-Cola 600, which happens to be the longest race of the year in NASCAR. That's run in May. And then, of course, the race this weekend, which is the Bank of America 500. When we have a race here, we'll get anywhere from 135,000 to 175,000 people show up. So for one day, we become the fourth largest city in North Carolina. Now you can go to football games and baseball games, you'll tailgate for a day. They come to a race, they tailgate for a whole week. So we kind of like that. As we go around the turn here on the end, to my right, you're going to see a lot of homes and campers sitting out there. They start arriving. They've already started coming in. It'll usually fill up by Wednesday night. People will camp out here for about a week, but one of the cool things that we like about this racetrack, and you might not know this unless you really know NASCAR, 98% of all the drivers in NASCAR, that's in the Cup Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Truck Series, live within 40 miles of this racetrack. And 98% of all the teams are based right here. So we consider this to be the center of NASCAR, not Daytona where it started. We've even had an occasion where we've had a driver or two stop by and visit people in the campgrounds. People kind of like that. We'll have church services out there. We have a mayor that's elected out there that takes care of everything that we need to in the campgrounds. Luckily, it looks like we're going to have some real good weather this week. I would not have wanted to have the race last week. I was real surprised that race even got in, but that was kind of cool. That's what it is about Dover.
It wasn't raining.
That's right. We're supposed to get a little rain Friday night, but it's supposed to be late Friday night, so we should be okay. And only about 30% chance. That can mean nothing here. Way over on the right side, you're going to see an orange sock up there in the air. It's kind of hard to see it, but that's our helicopter pad over there. Our helicopter pad can handle 11 helicopters at the same time. Now remember, all the drivers live here, so most of them will fly in or out by helicopter. In fact, about 15 minutes after the race, they're all gone. They actually get in their helicopters and fly out of here. Dale Jr. is a friend of mine. What he does is he flies home. He has a helicopter pad at his house. That's kind of nice. So we're going through gate 26. Gate 26 is how you get into the track. This is how the big haulers will come in Wednesday. Those haulers are so big now they actually have to drive right down through the center of this. If they didn't, they'd scrape the ceiling. I usually forget I'm not supposed to talk in the tunnel because it reverberates off the walls. First Tram tour this year, so that's why I'm doing this. What we're going to do is we're going to go down to the end here and we're going to make a left-hand turn and we're going to take you down through the motorhome lot. What I do want to tell you is while we're in the motorhome lot, I will not be talking because I did get in trouble a couple of years ago. I pointed out a couple of people's motorhomes and they were still sleeping. So we're going to drive through first. I want you to take a real good look at them. Just before we go back through the second time, I'm going to tell you whose motorhome's whose and some of them that are out there, and you should be able to identify them when you get in there. All of this on the left-hand side is set up for drivers and teams to be able to come to some of the displays here, or people that are in the infield. We'll have a big nationwide display. Quite a few other big displays that are set up there for people to look at motorhomes and things like that, especially if a driver is looking for a brand new motorhome. cross into the motorhome lot and make a right-hand turn there, so I'm going to keep it a little quiet. By the way, do you see Jeff Gordon's golf cart sitting back there on that truck?
Nope.
I'm going to see if I can get him to stop before we go through it the second time, and I'm going to tell you who's on different motorhomes in there. That way when you go by them, you can see them. So we're going to go by a second time. This is the Xfinity garage. They'll be racing here and using that garage on Friday night. The Cup garage we've already passed on the other side. I'll kind of point that out as we go back out. And we're on a new road course that we just finished here about 3 months ago. This is a 2.25 mile road course, and it's used for Lamborghinis, Ferraris, that sort of thing. We're going to be racing out here. You're going to see the Xfinity equipment set up here, the big haulers that brings in all of their testing equipment. And also the Xfinity garage down here, the Sprint Cup division for the Vision out there. We don't use that here because we have our own big screen. And what he's going to do is we're going to make sure that we can go out onto the racetrack. He'll call out there. We'll be out there for one lap, and we'll let you see what it's like. Straight to my left, though, is that's pit road. That yellow wall is the wall that they're going to work over whenever they come over the track. So let me give them a call. Hold on just a second. Try to see if you have one tram going out on track. Okay, we're good. Now we're taking the tram out there, so we're going to stay on the apron down below. This is actually pit road. The yellow line that's right here, we just went over it, that is the end of pit road. So after that, they can pick up any speed they want. Prior to that, they got to be doing 45 miles an hour.
So we're going to be up here.
So as this track gets steeper and steeper as we go through, the front stretch is 5 degrees of banking. The turns are 24 degrees of banking. Above us on the left side, that is the Ford grandstand. It's one of the highest grandstands in NASCAR. It's 195 feet in the air. And just as we go beyond that, those blue windows up there that you see, those are condominiums. If you want to live here, you can live here. There's 40 of them. There's a couple of them for sale right now. The last one I saw for sale, though, was going for $485,000. They have 15 seats in the front of them. So what happens is most of the people that own those move out about a week before the race, rent them out, and make enough money to pay for them.
Right.
So as you can see, this racetrack is getting steeper and steeper as we go around. At the turn 1, 2, and 3, 4, it's actually 24 degrees, 3 stories high. Now, Jimmy Johnson does hold the speed record in here at 204 miles an hour. To my right, you see what's on the safer barrier. There's also safer barrier on my left. That barrier is actually tied to the wall behind it. There's foam blocks between that and the wall. That thing will move if you hit it with a race car. It's designed to do that, so it takes away a lot of the energy of a crash. And on my right, if you look inside the fence there, you see that area? That's called Redneck Hill. If you want to, you can rent a spot small enough to put a sofa out there. In fact, after the 600 this year, I came out the next morning, did a tour. First tour, I found 6 sofas, a double bed, and a dresser. Somebody must have had to change clothes or something. I think they brought it with them. A lot of the guys are still working on the track. They wait till the very last moment to be able to paint the grass. That's what they're doing here at turn 2. They'll paint the insignias and everything that they need out there, and Sunday morning at 6 o'clock, they're out here cutting it all off because it does kill the grass.
That is cool.
Check that out. That's so cool. Hey, oh,
with a little help from his friend. Yeah, they lay that thing down there. It's all computerized to how they lay that all out there and how they do so well. So if you were on pit road, you're coming off pit road, and you're trying to get back on the racetrack and it's in green, you do not want to go above this white line until you get to this checkered area that we're coming up on right now. You have to stay below that. And the reason for that is you won't be doing the speeds they'll be doing up there, but you better be picked up to about 195, 198 when you cross these checkered areas, and then you're allowed to get back onto the racetrack. Now, I don't know if you've noticed or not, that big, huge screen that's up there on my left, that is the second largest television screen in the world. It's high definition, it's 80 feet tall, 200 feet wide, and it used to be the largest, but Texas Motor Speedway couldn't stand it. They had to build one bigger. And if you want to see the original seats when this track was built, that's what's right on my left.
Wow.
We don't use them anymore, I'm glad, because how'd you like to sit there on those seats for a 600-mile race?
Nope.
They're not very comfortable, that's for sure. And as you look at the grandstand over there on my right, you can see there's a lot of different colors in those grandstands. There's a reason for that. It's called marketing. Basically what it is if you're 85% full and you're panning across it with a TV camera, you cannot tell where people are sitting. It looks like there's somebody in every single seat. We did a fantastic job. Every racetrack that we own is set up that way. In fact, SMI Corporation, the company that owns this racetrack, we own 8 racetracks. Sonoma in California, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Texas, New Hampshire, Bristol, Kentucky, and this racetrack. So out of 36 races in NASCAR, 12 of them are in our racetracks. And by the way, the building up above on the right side there with the blue windows, that's a Smith Tower. On the 7th floor is our corporate offices for all those racetracks. We run them right out of this. We're going to take you on down to turn 3. And then we're going to stop the van for a second, or a minute or two actually. And if you'd like to get out and walk up the track, you're welcome to do that. I caution you to be very, very careful. It's a lot steeper than you think. A lot of people will walk up it and they look down and go, oh no, I'm not coming back down again. It's not as easy as you think. So I want you to be very careful. Just take it very slow when you're coming back down, and walk down at an angle is usually the best way to do it. And I'll tell you a little bit about the racetrack whenever we get there. To my right, this is where all the big motorhomes park. This thing is sold out for about 3 years in advance. They will not be allowed to come in until Wednesday. Once they get in here, this entire area is completely filled with motorhomes. Average motorhome, $2 to $3 million.
You should bring snow sleds up and walk those up and ride them down.
Nah, they won't let you do that. We can make a lot of wishes, but they look at us and say, no, I don't think so. All right, we're going to stop here for a minute. We're going to let you go ahead and go on up the track, and I'm going to turn this off, so I'll talk to you on the other side.
No.
Mama said get the I don't know if I can get that down there.
You're going to drop it down to the white line, but you don't want to go below that white line unless it's under caution. If it's under green flag, you want to stay up there so your speeds can still continue to go along. But what's going to happen is you got to tell the other drivers behind you that you're going to pit. There's only one way to do that. Just wave at them. That tells them you're going to pit, and they'll start getting away from you because they figure you're going to slow down. Turn 3, you'll be doing about 185 miles an hour. You start slowing down from turn 3 to turn 4. At turn 4, you're going to be doing 160 miles an hour. Again, you want to keep that speed up as much as you possibly can. So as we get to turn 4 here, you'll be doing 160 at turn 4, and then you're looking for 3 white lines on the bottom of the racetrack. They're right down close, just inside of that white line, and when you see those 3 white lines, that's when it's time to get off the racetrack and get into pit and start heading in that way. By the way, we are adding more and more safer barrier. We should have it completed. We're going to have all this entire track with safer barrier. So turn 4, 160 miles an hour, and then it's time to get off the racetrack, so you start dropping it down. You get into this little area here. You see the 3 white lines. You cross those 3 white lines and start heading into the pits. From that point to the yellow line at the end of pit road, you've got to drop it down to 45 miles an hour. So from 160 to 45 miles an hour, that's why it costs $30,000 for a set of brakes, and they better work. Of course, Jimmy Johnson only spent $5 on the part that broke on his car this last week. I come check to that, cost him a few bucks.
Oh, yeah.
Medical center on my right, we have a helicopter pad there, 7 to 9 doctors on staff. On race day, if a helicopter is not sitting on that pad, they cannot start the race. We supply all the ambulances, fire department, everything for this entire facility. We have 7 racetracks in this entire facility. Champions Pavilion on my right, it's a neat area. Corporations lease that out, then you get to go up on the roof. You can watch the race from the roof, and you're high enough to see the entire racetrack. Oh, they turned the big screen on. To my right is the Cup Garage. The big sprint haulers are in there. The other big haulers won't come in until Friday. And by the way, look at that restart zone. It should get enlarged. They're going to do that. They did it at Dover. They went from 40 feet to 170 feet, I think, on the thing. And they're laying out the entire insignias in the inside of the infield right now. Take them a couple of days to finish everything. Pit road on my right, we just painted it pink for a reason. Cancer awareness, exactly. We had 300 cancer survivors here last Tuesday. They were on television painting the walls, so they got that all set up for us. Start finish line, we're going by that right now. And if you look way up on the roof where it says PRN, that's our radio station. It's where we broadcast the race from, and underneath that is where Larry Mack and Darrell Waltrip sit. And the little fenced area on the roof way up on top, that's the spotter stand.
Is there only one spotter stand?
There's only one spotter stand. At different racetracks like Talladega, they'll use different spotters, but only one is allowed to talk to the driver, so that's where he's at. Winner's Circle, we just passed that. And if you want the biggest, the most expensive seats in the house, right above us is called Pit Suites.
Oh, yeah.
There's no windows, 16 seats in every one of those suites. There are no windows because the teams are right underneath you and you can actually talk to them. It's kind of cool to be able to do that, but unfortunately you can't get one for about 3 years. They are sold out. The going rate is $45,000 a year with a 3-year minimum. Dale Jr.'s got so many friends he bought 2.
Yeah.
Sprint Vision, the Xfinity garage is on the other side. The inspection bay for Xfinity is right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it off the track. This 2¼ mile track that we just finished out here, we're going to be doing a lot of drifting, racing, and all kinds of different racing out here. So it should be very cool.
All the trucks that they're going to use to drive drivers around.
Jonathan, if you will, just hold it up here for a minute. And then I'll tell you when to go. Hold it right there. Okay, we're getting ready to go into the motorhome lot. I'm going to kind of explain to you what a couple of the motorhomes are. Jonathan, will you hold it, please? Thank you. The one the gentleman just walked out of is Jimmy McMurray's motorhome.
Hey!
On the other side of that, as we go by it, you're going to just see the front of it, but you're going to see a brown and kind of a gold motorhome sitting in there. Look at the very bottom on the front. It's there's a skull there with sabers across it. That's Dirty Mo Posse's insignia. That's Dale Jr.'s motorhome. It's a brand new motorhome. He just spent $3.5 million for it. Jamie spent $4 million for his motorhome. Okay, as we go on through the motorhome lot, you're going to see a white one just right up next to the fence with an eagle on it. That's Brad Kozlowski's motorhome, but that's actually for his team. It's not his motorhome. His is the one parked in front of it. He actually provides one just for his team. And there's a black one with an orange stripe down it, which is the Penske colors. That's Joey Logano's motorhome. And just before we start to take a left-hand turn out of the motorhome lot, you're going to see a white one sitting about 3 rows back with a big orange arrow pointing straight up. That is Danica Patrick's motorhome. So that's the only ones I know of right now. So we can go ahead and go.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Doesn't Smokes the one with all the flames? I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Kind of beige.
The second one is Junior.
Yep, there's the symbol.
That's what I got, but wow, that's fancy.
Oh, and sabers in the front. Yeah, for military.
Hi. That's what I told you about the paint job when we drove by the first time.
And then Danica's is right back there with the orange and red. Yep. It's kind of interesting. Most of them do not let you know whose is whose. I know where they park, so I know exactly kind of who's whose all the time. It was kind of interesting, though, last year, Dytek was a new sponsor for Kevin Harvick. So right in front of the Ford one, which is on the end there on the opposite side, just outside the motorhome lot, we drove by there, and there was no way you could miss his motorhome. They had a number 4 on the side of it that was about 5 feet tall. It's Dytek going out the sides of it, and of course, Delana was sitting right in the stairway there and waving at everybody as we went by. So it's kind of hard to hide that one.
Yeah.
Of course, that's Kevin Harvick for you. So the haulers are still coming in. They won't come in until Wednesday. The vans have started coming in. They came straight from Dover. If you notice, a lot of them were getting washed and everything with all the rains and stuff like that. They head up there. They want to clean them up and get them really nice. They just restocked them for the drivers, and then they're able to go. And I'm going to be quiet until we get to the other side. Helicopter pad way out in the distance. Right across the street here we have the 5th Mile racetrack. We're redoing that racetrack. That's where we actually have training classes for the little legends of Bandolero cars. We're going to set up out there for them. We start kids training in Bandolero cars at 7 years old. Now you should have seen a couple of days ago, they brought this big, huge trailer in for Ganassi. They had to lift it up by crane to get it up there. They're putting up some kind of a display for them. So I got a little story about Dale Jr. and his brand new motorhome. Year before last, I got word from him that he was buying a new motorhome. I knew what his old motorhome looked like, so I was kind of anxious to see the new one. So the May race comes along, and the first thing I did is I did my Tram tour, and I drive out there, and I saw that big red-white motorhome out there, and that's usually Dale Jr.'s spot. So I announced to everybody that that's Dale Jr.'s brand new motorhome. Everybody's taking pictures, and we're having a great time. That evening, I get a tweet from Dale Jr. He says, I want to thank Jamie McMurray for letting me use his motorhome. He had a picture of that motorhome, but on the other side of it was a 20-foot Airstream with a pickup truck pulling it. He says, because if I hadn't used his electricity on his motorhome, I would have spent $500 for a generator to power my little trailer sitting out there. So I sent him a little note back, and I said, you got to be kidding. I know you got a new motorhome. You just don't want everybody to see what it looks like. And he sent me a thing back, and he says, no, my motorhome hasn't been delivered yet. I'm staying in that little trailer. So, great. So I had to back it up the next day. I did my tram tours and had to explain to everybody that little Silverstream sitting on the other side was his trailer. Nobody believed me, of course. October race comes around. Now I'm waiting for that big new motorhome. Guess what? He said he didn't need to bring that motorhome. He was going to use that little trailer to stay in, because he only stays in it between practice and qualifying. The rest of the time he spends it home. So I can understand that. So you're getting to see the motorhome for the first time. That's the first time he's brought it to our track. Now, anybody been to a race here before?
Yes.
What's missing?
The backstretch, the grandstands.
The grandstands. Yeah, that's right. The Diamond Tower is gone. We took it out this last year. We took out 41,000 seats. Every racetrack in the country is taking seats out. Most of them anywhere from 17 to 40,000 seats. The reason for that is because we get charged, taxed on every seat in the place.
Wow.
We have not sold that in 3 or 4 years, so it was costing us more money to leave it up. It was better to take it down. I have seen some plans for what's going to go in there. I'm not going to ruin it for you. We're going to have to wait about a year before you see what's in there, but I think you'll be really pleased with what you see. Operations on my right, we service all the equipment that we have here, all of our souvenir trailers and all of the equipment that we use on the track surfaces and everything is all being here. Sometimes you'll get a hauler or two that'll be in here. Now, one of the things about these memorabilia trailers, you're still going to see some of them, but for the most part, they're going to be gone.
Where's the store going to be?
Well, I'll show you. We'll get on the other side. It's already being put up. Fanatics, which is a new company that has taken over the contract for all the memorabilia trailers, has decided to do something different. And so I'm kind of anxious to see what it's going to look like. But when we get around to the other side, I'll tell you where that's at.
Have you heard how it's working at other tracks?
The only one I had somebody go to was Darlington.
How was it?
And Darlington, she said she didn't like it, the girl that went down there. She's one of our tour guides. She said she didn't care for it. But it's supposed to be, you know, weather protected and everything, and that's the one thing nice about it. So as we go around here on my right-hand side, we have a lot of hospitality areas that are going to be set up. If you are members with some of the big sponsors and things like that, they'll bring drivers out. You can have lunch and breakfast with the drivers. You can just sit down and get autographs and things like that. Those are specially invited people that come out to them. So they'll be on this area here. To my left is the area where the motorhomes, you can actually rent a spot up there for your motorhome and sit in your motorhome and watch the race if you'd like to. You're high enough to see the whole racetrack. So some of the motorhomes are already starting to come in. Most of the times it's usually corporations or things like Bass Pro Shop will put a big motorhome up there and that sort of thing. It is a little expensive. Then the next building that comes up is the media building. So a lot of your media people and everything get set up in there to be able to write articles and watch the race and be able to control everything that they're doing. And then the next building beyond that is our areas that you can actually rent a condo, or you can own a condo. You can own the condo first, but sometimes they rent them out, so they can actually rent one from them, but we don't have anything to do with that. So I do not know what that would cost. Leave it to Dale Jr. Even though they got this big, huge tent set up out there, he's going to have his own trailer.
Right. And he probably needs this.
Usually on the, normally he has 2 or 3, maybe 4 at each track.
Yeah.
In fact, up until just this last year, Dale Sr. still had a memorabilia trailer, which I thought was kind of cool. So as we go down this hill here, on my right-hand side, that big white tent is the new Fanatics display area. My understanding is what you do is you come in this side here, and you can go through all of them. All the drivers have displays in there where you can buy their memorabilia and things like that. And then go out the other side. and then it dumps you out into the interactive areas where Toyota, Chevrolet, Ford all has displays. So it's kind of cool for them to set up. Every single driver has something in there. Some of them are covered completely for rain purposes. That should be open Wednesday or Thursday. We moved the fun zone for the kids over to the other side. It's going to be on this side, so it's kind of protected. That way that they're not they're kind of closed off and away from all this other stuff. Target has a display. We have the big beer thing set up. Last year we had 100 different beers you could drink in here. I think they've narrowed it down to 20 different ones. You buy a ticket, you get unlimited beer for 2 hours.
Holy cow. Didn't drag us.
So you can just test each one of them if you want, as many times as you want. Way up on the top, you see the Signias up there with the drivers up on the wall there. That is, we actually have Whiskey River here. We put a bar in here for Dale Jr. His bar is sitting up there. They've got a mechanical bull. You could ride that. They'll open up like Wednesday evening.
We're going to drive by it if you want to get a picture.
And then we have all the displays. By the way, if you own a Toyota, you could usually go to the Toyota display. When it opens up, show them your keys. They'll buy you lunch.
Yeah, they do that on all the other tracks, too.
Yeah. And to my left is the area, that's the Hall of the Walk of Fame that we have, the Avenue of the Flags. I like the tribute we did to Jeff Gordon. And on the floor down there, you're going to see a lot of drivers that have put their handprints and footprints in there. We'll get Jeff to come back next year and put his in there. So it's starting to ramp up pretty good here as we go into this race week.
Remind me to bring my Toyota key.
Everybody, I want you to be safe this week. Have a real good time. We enjoy having you out here. This is one of the greatest places to see the races. They really do a lot for the fans out here. And every time they do something, it's usually for improvement just for the fans to be able to watch the races. Or to